Good morning. This is Rich from Virginia Beach. It's Wednesday, 4 March 2026 at about 10:30 a.m. when I'm recording this. I just wanted to make a little quick video. I don't know how quick it's going to be. Sometimes I just ramble on, but in case you've been living under a rock, America's been at war for the last 4 or 5 days since 28 February when it launched the second surprise attack on the Islamic Republic of Iran. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to start off with a couple basics that a lot of us don't know about because one, we really wasn't taught. I am a product of public education. I graduated public education, and 6 months later, I ended up in the United States Navy. Did a few minutes in the United States Navy, ended up adding those minutes together. It was about 24 years. And in those 24 years, and many years even after I retired out of the Navy, I didn't know a lot about the country that I swore to defend, protect, and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I didn't know a lot about it. And the reason I didn't know a lot about it is because the government ran schools, public schools. I was not taught a lot of the basics. Maybe I was exposed to some of it, didn't retain a lot of it, maybe. I had one government class in my senior year. It was one semester, so it was half a year. I didn't like it. We had to sit in a classroom. I'm not this, hey, let me sit in a classroom for an hour kind of guy back when I was 17 and 18 years old. In fact, I would have been a prime candidate for Ritalin. Back then, Ritalin was coming out, and it was fairly new to the market, and they were trying to push parents to put their kids on this shit. Fortunately, my mother had enough foresight to not do that. And kudos to her for not doing that, because we could get into the whole medical thing. I'm not going to get into that, but I don't know if you've seen some of these designer drugs you see on TV now for ailments you never heard of. That's probably because the ailments that you've never heard of, or likely not heard of, is because those ailments were probably caused by the last designer drug that hit the market 10 years ago. Now you got symptoms. So it's a revolving door for the pharmaceuticals to keep us on there. But so I'm a product of public education, aka government schools. And so I wasn't taught a lot of the stuff. A lot of Americans, and I include myself in this, I didn't know a lot of this till fairly recently. I'm about to turn 62 next month. In fact, I just signed up for Social Security. Social Security income, SSI, for the month of May. I should start receiving my first Social Security check. And I signed up for it right away because in my mind it may not be here in a couple years. I hold out for a couple years so I can get more every month. Well, there's a couple years of payments I missed out on. It's going to take a long time to make all that up. But, I don't know how long I'm going to live. I'm doing what I can do to prolong that. I want to be around for a minute, but we don't really know when we're going to go. That's, in large part, not in our hands. It's in our part to keep ourselves healthy, to fulfill what we're supposed to fulfill. But after that, who knows? It's not up to us. But back to the government. I did not know a lot of these things, but our federal government is composed of 3 branches of government. You have the executive branch, which the president is the head of. The president is the head of the executive branch of government. The executive branch, in a nutshell, is to ensure that our laws are faithfully executed. That's the overall arching thing for the federal government to do, the executive branch of the federal government to do, execute our laws. Which brings us to the second branch of government, which is the legislative branch. And the legislative branch, which is composed of two houses, which is the House of Representatives, which are elected for a 2-year term. And the second branch of the legislation is the U.S. Senate, which is voted into office for a period of 6 years. And forever, I didn't really understand that. Well, the House of Representatives are many. There are 435 of them, I believe. And they are supposed to be closer to the people. There are many more of them than there are senators, and they only are elected for a 2-year term, which means the people are to decide every 2 years who our House of Representatives will consist of. And that takes us to the second branch of the legislation, which is the Senate, which there are only 100 senators. There are 2 from each state. And there are 50 states, so there's 100 senators. They are called the higher house, and they're a little further removed from the people because they only come up for a vote for the people every 6 years. So not every 2 years is everybody up for election. Senators are elected for 6 years, which I'm not quite sure I agree with that. I'm sure there's reasons for and against a different term limit, but there are no limits for these people. They can run as many times as they want. That's why you get people in the federal legislature, Congress, that have been in Congress for decades. And a lot of them are millionaires. When you're getting paid around $200,000 a year, and you make more if you're on different committees, you will make more, or if you're the Speaker of the House, or you hold a higher office in the legislative branch, you'll get paid a little more. It's not a huge number. You will not become a millionaire from earning just that salary. But most of them are. Figure that one out. But and then that brings us to the third branch of government, which is our judicial branch. And those consist of the 9 Supreme Court justices, one of which is the Chief Justice, which is Chief Justice Roberts at the moment. They are elected by the executive. They are selected by the executive branch, and they are approved by the legislative branch, specifically the Senate. That's why you have Senate confirmation hearings on all of the federal judiciary nominees that are nominated by the president, the head of the executive branch. So you have checks and balances built into the system. The executive can't just run away with unlimited power. The executive branch, actually, by the Constitution, has very specific and limited powers. And that's the crux of the matter, what we're going to get into. I'm not really going to talk a lot about the judiciary. The Supreme Court is the head of the judiciary branch of the federal government. They do what the judiciary does, the Supreme Court. We've all heard of Supreme Court decisions that are made. They're very important decisions because they are one of the 3 branches of our federal government. So let's go back to the legislative branch of government. Some, including myself, referred to the legislative branch as probably the single most important of the 3 branches. Now, they're all supposed to be equal, and they're all supposed to check and balance each other. That's true. That's how our system is designed. However, the legislative branch, our Congress, is tasked by our Constitution, which the people wrote. This Constitution is a mandate from the people which established our government. Our government is there to protect and defend the rights and the property of the people. That's what it's there for. And there's several means by which it does that. But let's get back to the legislative branch. There is several sections of Article 1 in the Constitution, which is, I don't want to lose my place here. Article 1. Article 1, which defines the duties, responsibilities, and limits in some cases of what the legislative branch can, what it must do, and what it cannot do. It's to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas. Okay? Here's the big one that's very apropos to what's going on currently with this war. Congress, which means the legislative branch, is mandated to declare war. To declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, to make rules concerning captures on land and water. What kind of rules did they make for captures on land and water? You notice it didn't say anything about shooting fishermen or shooting people in boats without due process of law, which is exactly what happened down off the coast of Venezuela. They're supposed to make rules. The legislature makes rules for capture on land and water. They're supposed to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be longer term than 2 years. That's why they say raise and support an army. We're not supposed to have a standing army in America. Yet, our army has been around, let's ask Siri. How long has the United States Army been in business?
United States Army was formed June 14th, 1775.
1775, June 14th. They're about to have their 251st anniversary of a standing army. But they're not supposed to be around for any more than 2 years. If we have a conflict, the Congress is supposed to raise an army and fund an army and pay for training and support and equipment. But it can only fund it for 2 years. Yet for 251 years, longer than this country has been a country. We're coming up on our 250th anniversary, July 4th. Our army has been around longer than we have been a country, but they're not allowed to. Here's another important thing that the Congress is supposed to do: to make rules for the government. You notice it doesn't say make rules for the people. It specifically says to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces that they create. They're to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia. Well, who is the militia? Us. Congress is supposed to provide for organizing, army, and disciplining the militia. Not an army. The militia. Army's supposed to be around for only 2 years. If we get wind that somebody's about to attack us, the Congress is supposed to pay for an army. Raise, support, equip, train an army. Do you see where I'm going here? We are far from what our founding documents mandate that we do. This is also the legislator. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district, the District of Columbia, not exceeding 10 square miles. Do you see it makes rules for the government? And it makes rules for the District of Columbia and all of our possessions? But it doesn't make rules for the states, and it doesn't make rules for the people living in those states. Do you see where I'm going? But what do we think? What have we been taught? What does our media say? What does everybody say? Oh, whatever laws, they get all mad about the laws that Congress is getting ready to pass. They don't apply to the people. They don't apply to the states. They apply to the 10 square miles of D.C. and our possessions only. They're supposed to do many other things. They're supposed to grant no title of nobility. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or trade, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state. So what if the president goes overseas and makes all these business arrangements? That's prohibited. Congress should see that that doesn't happen. You notice it doesn't say anything about Democrat or Republican because it doesn't care. They're all upheld to the same standard. Article 2, which is the executive power. Before he entered on the execution of this office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will do the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution. He's supposed to support and defend the Constitution. Do you know why? Because the Constitution is a mandate by the people. He's only given certain powers. He's not a king. This is a republic, a constitutional republic. He takes an oath to this document. The document was written by the people. He doesn't make rules for the people. The legislative makes rules for D.C., for the 10 square miles of the District of Columbia and our possessions. And they do many other things. The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states. Doesn't say anything about Air Force. Doesn't say anything about Space Force. It just says Army and the Navy and the militia, which is us, the people, we the people. That's why we have amendments. That's why we have the Second Amendment to keep and bear arms. And it shall not be infringed because we are the militia. We have more responsibility than anybody because we are the people. The President shall take care that the laws are faithfully executed, and shall commission all the officers of the United States. So we know that Congress is the only branch that we the people authorize to declare war on another country. What is war? Declare war. It says to declare war. What is that? What does it mean to declare war?
Here's an answer from thefreedictionary.com.
To officially announce the intention to fight against an enemy country or group in a war. That's what it means. Isn't that what we're doing with Iran in conjunction with Israel? We're killing people. That's war. It's an undeclared war. We haven't had a declared war since World War II, when we declared war on Germany, on Japan, on Italy. We declared war on those countries. We didn't declare war on Vietnam. We didn't declare war on Korea. We didn't declare war on Libya. We didn't declare war on Somalia, Sudan, Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, Iran. We didn't declare war on any of them people, yet we killed people. We were engaged in undeclared wars. That's not in accordance with the Constitution. It's just not. Only the legislative branch, which is our Congress, can declare war. And they're also the ones in the Senate who can impeach a president for breaking the Constitution, for not abiding by his oath of office. We, the people, set the standards, not the president, not the legislature, and not the judicial branch. We, the people. And we, the people, have done it through the Constitution. This is our mandate to our government. This is what you must do. This is what you must not do. So you hear everybody say, oh, to go defend democracy, and we're spreading democracy. You can spread democracy all you want. Democracy is mob rule that never works. A democratic form of government does not work. A democratic government is where 51% of the people, or the ones in control the other 49%, which means mob rule. The biggest majority rules. That's not what America was founded on. Thomas Jefferson walked out of Congress in 1781, I think, and was asked by a reporter, Mr. Jefferson, what did you give us? What did you give us? And he said, I gave you a constitutional republic if you can keep it. If you can keep it, the people. Can we, the people, keep a constitutional republic? We don't have one. Everybody says we have a democracy. We're not supposed to have a democracy. This isn't set up as a democracy. The only thing democratic about our form of government is the way laws are enacted and passed. The majority of the legislature votes on whether or not they approve a law as being passed. And the mob rule wins. They pass a law by having a majority of the votes. Some have to be a supermajority. Some have to be 2/3. Some have to be really sure that this is the law that they want to pass. Some is by a simple majority. Also, our elections are done using a democratic process, as are most other countries. They have democratic elections, which means the most people vote for one candidate, he wins or she wins. That's a form of democratic process. But our government is not mob rule. We have 3 branches of government, co-equal branches, that are supposed to put checks and balances on each other. When one gets out of hand and exceeds their authority, it's up to the other 2 to put balances on them. And it's written into this document on how to do that. And they're supposed to do that. Now let's go back to term limits. Being that there's a term limit on the president can only hold 2 terms, which is a total of 8 years. Now he can hold more if, for example, he's the vice president and something happens to the sitting president and he gets removed, or he's incapacitated, or unfortunately he gets assassinated, or for whatever reason he's not in office anymore, the vice president becomes the president. Now that is not considered an elected term. So he could do practically up to 4 years, and then he could run for office after that 4 years and run again, and then he could run again. So we could actually have a president for 12 years. 3 4-year terms if that's how it works out. But they can only hold 2 elected terms of office. Not so for our legislatures. Most of our legislatures have been there for decades. I think we need to start pushing for term limits on our Congress. Every 2 years, the representatives come up for elections. Those are called the midterms. Halfway through a presidential term, that's 4-year term, he'll go through an election process. Some of the senators have come up for election, but all of the House of Representatives come up for election. And because none of them people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know what I recommend? Every one of the sitting congressmen, representatives, vote them out of office. Get somebody new in there, because these people are not doing what we told them to do. They're not coining our money, which they're supposed to do. They created the Federal Reserve. That's not in the Constitution. Congress is supposed to coin our money. It's right here in the Constitution. They're supposed to do many other things they're not doing. They're supposed to impeach an executive who is out of line, who declares wars on countries where Congress has not declared war. That's an impeachable offense. Why isn't Congress doing this? Why isn't the Senate impeaching the president? Because they're all a bunch of Republicans. Now you got mob rule again, where the party is stronger than the conviction. The party is stronger than the oath that they take. That shouldn't be that way, folks. If you take an oath to support and defend the Constitution, you damn sure better do it. Everything you're required to do by this, you should do it. You shall do it. Everything that is not done that says it should be done, shame. Everybody coming up for election that's an incumbent, that's running for re-election, vote them out. Vote them out. Study who the next guy is or girl coming in, what they stand for, and hold them to it. If they don't do it, vote them out too. Keep voting them out till we get good people in the Congress. Anybody that's currently there needs to be voted out. Vote them shitheads out of office. They're not doing what they need to do. And every 6 years, Lindsey Graham, why that guy is still in office, you people from South Carolina? Really? That's all you can do is put Lindsey Graham back in? One of the biggest warmongers I've ever seen in my life? Is he volunteering to go to war and to get shot at? No. He's volunteering your children, your grandchildren, your aunts and uncles, your mothers and fathers to go to war and be sacrificed for what? An undeclared war. I don't recall any Iranians climbing up on our shores to kill us. I don't recall any of that happening. Why are we over there? Well, there's many reasons for it. I'm not going to get into those, but there are reasons for it. Because someone said we're supposed to. Do you believe that crap? Do you do everything you're told, or do you think about it? Wait a minute, I'm under oath. All of you military folks out there, you took an oath too. You took an oath too, also to follow all the orders of the commander-in-chief and the officers, all lawful orders of the commander-in-chief and those appointed over you. Lawful orders. Know what? Let's ask Siri, what is a lawful order? What is a lawful order?
Here's an answer from lawinsider.com.
Lawful order means any order, directive, policy, or instruction given by an authoritative source or given to ensure compliance with federal, state, or local law, which may be conveyed verbally or in writing. By the law. This is the supreme law of the land. It doesn't mean a statute, an executive order, a wish. Oh, I told you to do it just because. No, that is not a lawful order. There's been a lot of people get in a lot of trouble trying to convince our military not to follow orders. I'm not telling you not to follow orders. I want you to follow orders. I did too. I want you to follow all lawful orders like I did. I don't believe I followed an order that was not lawful. I followed all lawful orders. I questioned orders that were given to me to ensure that they were lawful. I usually went out and did it first, and if I had questions, I'd come back and ask later. Because I wanted to know, is that lawful? You tell me to go out and do this or that, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask for the lawfulness of it. I'm going to question it. If I don't, I'm not doing my duty. I need to determine if it's lawful or not. I recommend everybody does that. Lawful order means any order, directive, policy, or instruction given by an authoritative source, which is the commander-in-chief. He is the authority by this document that we the people granted him. So hold him to that. Given to ensure compliance with federal, state, or local law which may be conveyed verbally or in writing. That sounds pretty good to me. I'll buy that for $1. But let's make sure what we're doing is lawful. And right now, I don't see a lot of lawful activity going on. I'm sorry, I don't. I think more of us need to pick these up. You can get them online. I got this one from the Heritage Foundation. I don't remember how. I'm not a member of the Heritage Foundation. I think one year I got this actually. I wrote the date when I got this thing. April of 2019. 7 years I've had this. And you can tell I've been carrying it around. I've been reading it. I got sticky notes in here. I got all kinds of highlights in here. This is not complicated reading. This is probably 5th grade reading level. Know what the meaning of the words shall and must. Learn what those two words mean. Because if it says you shall do something, you don't have a choice. You shall do it. This is from us, the people, to our government agents. This is how our government's instituted. It's how it's established. It's how it shall be run. And it explains that we, the people, have the right to abolish the government if it becomes tyrannical or it no longer fits the will of the needs of the people. Well, I'm trying to decide which people our current government is appeasing, because it's not me. Most likely it's not you, and it's not a lot of other people sitting out there wondering what in the hell is going on. Why is this happening? Why? You know, our press, for example, our press, it's freedom of the press. It's the First Amendment. The press has a special caveat and a right to, their speech can't be silenced. Freedom of the press. I don't think we have a free press anymore. I think our press in general is controlled by somebody other than the American people. I think they've lost their scruples. I think they're feeding us a narrative that someone else wants us to hear, because you can still get the truth out there. Thank God for the internet. But, you know, an internet's a double-edged sword. Where you can get truth, you can also get information that's less than truthful. And what I see blurting out of the TV every day is exactly what someone wants us to think. They don't just give us They give us opinions now. They don't give us just straight up facts and let us come to our own conclusion. That does still happen. Not very often. Most of it is opinion polls. Opinion this, opinion that. I don't want to know your opinion. I can form my own. I got a little bit of gray matter left up here. I can still form my own opinions. Give me the facts. Don't give me propaganda. Don't give me bullshit. Give me the real facts. Give me the truth on the ground. Give me what really happened. Don't give me your idea or your opinion or your reasons. I don't care. I can come up with my own reasons. Anyway, I didn't want to make this very long, so I want all you to have a good day and think. Read this. Read this. It tells you how our government is supposed to act. It tells you how we, the people, are supposed to be, how we are in control of this government. We're sitting around here not thinking we are, but we really are, and they know it. That's why they feed us BS all the time, to keep us fighting amongst ourselves so we don't understand these things. The government, both local, state, and federal, does not have the power over the people. It is not written anywhere. They don't dictate what the people do. They can make rules and regulations on how we shall bring controversies, but not how we are to conduct our lives. So keep that in mind. And I want you all to, spring is in the air now. It's a beautiful day outside. I did my 4K walk this morning. Maintain your health, maintain your sanity. Look for the truth, because the truth doesn't need to be repeated over and over and over and over again. The truth is self-evident. It doesn't need constant repeating. What needs constant repeating is something other than the truth to try to get you to believe it. So question everything. Have a questioning mindset. Use the Socratic method. Read about Socrates and how he questioned things. That's what attorneys do. They question. Not that I support attorneys by any means. I think calling themselves an esquire is a title of nobility, which is not allowed to happen in this country. I just read that to you in the Constitution. So all those running around calling themselves esquire, get out. We can learn this stuff. It's not complicated. It's not hard. I am not the most intelligent person in any room that I walk into. I just learned how to question things and find the truth and want to find the truth for one. If I hear something, I'm going to look into it. Well, oh, that's interesting. Well, why is that? Let me look into that. And you can find the truth. But be careful. The truth can also be spread with disinformation. So have a good day. Take care of each other. Take care of your neighbors, your friends, your family. And question each other. Challenge each other. That's what a republic does. It makes us stronger. Peace.